great to be talking to Daisy Sampson, who is new in the role at afpop. We'll talk about that more a little bit later on. But you may know Daisy from being the editor at the Portugal News, of course, and you might know her voice from being the newsreader on Kiss FM. Daisy, great to see you this morning. Thank you so much for joining us for the Resident Podcast.
Thanks, Carl, for inviting me. Pleasure to be here.
Right. Now, I think you've got a long-established love and passion for Portugal. I understand you arrived here straight after university. Is that right? In 2003?
I know. I barely look old enough. My grandparents moved here initially in the mid-90s. So I was really lucky. I was able to come here every summer holiday, Easter holidays, all the rest of it. And then my mum, with my littlest sister, who's 10 years younger than me, they moved in 2001. So when I finished university, I didn't have anywhere to live in the UK. So sadly, I had to come to the Algarve.
How terrible for you.
I know, it was terrible.
Incredible. So you found yourself straight out of university. Absolutely. And living in the Algarve. It's like a dream life, isn't it?
It kind of is, but it kind of wasn't as well. I mean, the Algarve's changed a lot. Portugal's changed a lot since then. And when I first moved here, I was a bit of an oddity because generally people left at 21 to go and work somewhere else. So Lots of people who'd grown up here, they'd gone to either international school if they were foreign kids, or the Portuguese local people. They'd also gone, we're gonna leave, go to usually the UK at that time, if you were Portuguese. And we were all going the other way to each other. So I was kind of on my own for a bit.
And how was that? And what was the Algarve like in 2003 for you? What are your memories?
It was a different place, and I got to meet people who I would have never, ever been friends with, never would have met if I stayed in the UK. Completely slightly older people who were retired. I'd not had friends who were in their 70s before, who were genuinely really good friends of mine. So it was a nice way to meet different people and understand different points of view. Obviously, when you're at university, you're in that strange bubble where you're all the same age, you all have sort of the same background, you're all studying the same sort of courses. And so to go from everybody being alike to everybody being completely different to me was a bit of a culture shock, to be honest.
Yeah,
I bet. It was a good one.
And as you say, you hadn't come here to retire, which is the traditional path, isn't it, for people coming from the UK to the Algarve to retire? You were at the opposite end of the life spectrum, really, weren't you? Out of university and looking for work. And I think, like a lot of people who find themselves in the Algarve and looking for work, you have to be a bit more resourceful, don't you, and open-minded and find the opportunities where they are.
Absolutely. For me, I wasn't sure if I was going to be staying here. Initially, it started as I'll stay here for a summer. So I was doing the usual thing, working in bars, restaurants, cleaning villas, that sort of thing. Nothing permanent. I wasn't looking for anything permanent. But then I met someone and decided to stay here, and then decided I probably would need to look at actually having a career rather than a job. And that's when I initially went and I applied to work at The Resident, which was my first journalism job here. So that was my first career job in Portugal.
I didn't know that. Okay, so that was that your degree? Were you?
I did a degree in politics because I wanted to be a journalist, and I was advised the best way into journalism was to have a broad degree. So obviously, I understood a little bit about sociology, psychology, politics, history, geography, a bit of everything. And you have to learn how to write doing that kind of degree. So I was really lucky. There was an advert in The Resident for a junior journalist position. And I just thought, well, I'll take a bit of a punt at it and give it a go. And I was lucky enough to get the job. They took a real bet on me, to be honest, because I didn't have any experience at all, none at all. And they really nurtured me and looked after me to be able to grow my skills and to be able to be a journalist here.
How amazing! And do you remember that first great moment for any young journalist? The first thing you're sent out to report on and your first piece for the paper?
I remember it so clearly. My first official interview was with David Thomas of Safe Communities Portugal.
Really?
Yes,
gosh,
it was.
They've been busy again, haven't they? I mean, they were amazing during the pandemic, and again, they've come into their own in these last 3 weeks here in Portugal. So you interviewed David?
Because he was new to the country and he was just starting up this association. And he was my first interview.
Wow. I mean, Dave is so kind, a real gentleman, isn't he? So I imagine it was a fairly straightforward interview.
I didn't tell him it was my first interview because I didn't want him to be bad. I didn't want him to think they'd sent the worst person to him, but they had sent the worst person to him, to be honest, because I had no experience. But and I took a photograph of him outside the old offices in Lagoa, which his wife loved so much. He used it for years and years, this photograph I'd taken of him. And every time I see his wife, she's like, I love that picture.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. and so in those days, then you were taking the company camera as well as your notebook to do everything.
Nothing's changed in the world of journalism. I can assure you, it's sort of cut back. Journalists need to do everything: graphic design, journalism, photography, everything. It's a very multifaceted job now, really is.
Actually, that maybe we'll return to that because I'm sure there are still young people who want to change the world through writing and journalism, and it'd be great to hear your advice to them. But yeah, that's amazing. So David Thomas, you're and like since then, the pair of you have had incredible careers or paths in Portugal.
I feel once I decided I was going to stay here, I've had 2 children as well who are half Portuguese. One's 19 now and one's 16. So once I've decided, no, I'm here to stay, and I wanted to make sure my kids stayed here because it's a fantastic country for kids to grow up in.
Yes.
Then I took it all quite seriously, to be honest, and having really close ties to the community is something that I I love speaking to people. I love being with people, and I wanted to. The goal has always been the same in every job I've really done, is to try and make life better for people in Portugal, share information, share knowledge, to be able to go, there are difficulties in living here, but on the whole, you can overcome them if you've got a bit of support from friends, family, work, or associations like afpop. There's resources out there.
I love that. And how long did it take you then? I mean, that's a lovely moment, isn't it? You're going to be here for a summer. And then your life changed. Here you are working here, committing your life to being in Portugal. How long did it take for you to learn the language and feel integrated?
Oh, that was a tough one. That was a really tough one. My younger sister, she India, she has a real estate company here in Portugal. And when she left university, she came to Portugal, but she knew she was going to stay here. So she made a really conscious effort from the start to learn Portuguese. Yeah. I, however, thought I'm just going to work in a bar and clean a house, so I don't need to bother. That all changed when I had children, and then because my children went through the Portuguese education system, I had to learn Portuguese to be able to do their homework. I had to learn it to be able to go to parents' evenings, do all those sort of practical things, take them to the doctors, enroll them in school, all those things. It meant that I suddenly had to really learn, and I kind of learned with my children. So I learned it watching. I always joke, and it isn't a joke though. I learned it watching Noddy, a lot of Noddy.
Yeah, Canal Panda. Yes. So either have kids, which isn't going to be for everyone.
Not for everyone.
Not going to be the easiest way to learn Portuguese. or watch Portuguese children's TV. You're serious about that? It's a good tip, isn't it?
It really is, because obviously it's designed to be. I'm not talking maybe the anime and all that sort of stuff, but the educational stuff is all very repetitive. They're saying the same phrases and same words over and over again, and it's to teach you the language skills. And that really helped me. I watched far too much Noddy, far too much of it.
I get the impression you did. I get the adventures of Noddy in Portugal. That'd be a really good episode, in fact, wouldn't it? Right. So there you were. It is incredible, your story. I'll stay for a while. I'll work in bars. I'll do some of the turnarounds in hospitality. But next step, or one of the big steps, newspaper editor. Now that must have been a dream come true, right? So you were taken on, against your expectations in your first journalism role, and then you make it to the heights of newspaper editor as well in this dream story.
Yeah, so I got my grounding at the Resident, learning how to be a journalist. Inej, who's still there now, was really, really instrumental in helping with that and giving me advice and support to help me through. I then left journalism for a bit and went and worked in PR and marketing, simply because there's a monetary thing. There's a monetary thing there. There's the love of working as a journalist, but we all know that journalism isn't exactly somewhere you go to make your millions. That's for sure.
Right.
People do this
Yes.
for a lot of love, and you have to be super dedicated to it. And at the time, my children were getting a bit older, and I needed to get a little bit more cash in. And another amazing lady gave me an amazing break, Alda Filipe, who I know you've interviewed here.
Yes, last week.
Alda took me on working with her in the marketing department in Vale, Lobo.
Wow.
And she took another big punt on me and decided, without any experience, that I could be helpful. Initially, I worked with her doing copywriting. And then in those dark days, there was this thing called social media beginning. And nobody really knew where we were going with that and what we were doing. So inadvertently, I sort of became the head of social media because there was nobody else ready to do it. And we weren't sure if it was a thing, if this was going to be a thing or not. Obviously, it turned out that people quite liked Facebook and the likes, and it's obviously what it is today. But so I was able to develop my skills online and with online writing and marketing like that with Alda. And she was amazing, absolutely amazing with me.
She's great.
Yeah.
I'm pretty handy with a spear. I discovered last week if you want a nice bit of sea bass, take Alda out on a boat.
What Alda can't do is she's an incredible woman, really, really fantastic. And she's another really, I think, a leading figure, especially in the Algarve. I know she works further afield, but to see a woman in a position like she is so inspiring, and it shows how the community and culture is changing here. And to see her and everything she's done, I think it gives a lot of women the confidence to know, you can be in a position, you can go for those jobs, and you can be responsible. And to see that the culture's changed, and women are seen as absolutely equals in Portugal, and there are opportunities out there, which is really good. Which was something that was a problem when I first moved here, was, are there any opportunities for me? Can I actually be here and have a career? But seeing someone like Alda shows that you can have a career here, and a real one.
So a role model, and very modest too. I mean, and living an amazing life. The life she describes is fantastic. Hardworking and very successful, and enjoying all the best that Portugal has to offer as well. So what a lovely connection there. Check that out. That interview was also on the YouTube channel from last week. Spearfishing for you. What are your interests here in Portugal?
Possibly not spearfishing. I'm a vegetarian, so
although it's easier, isn't it? It is easier if you get a potato.
None of my family are vegetarians, so they could probably go and spear a fish or something. I'm pretty family orientated, to be honest. My grandma lives here in the Algarve as well. She's 94, and she lives just down the road from me. So free time is with family. Really, it's that's kind of what. Portugal is very family orientated, and being with family is a very easy thing. And it was carnival yesterday, and I was out with children, and you see all ages, and their grandma was in the parade, their Portuguese grandma that is, and all their cousins and aunts and all this sort of thing, aged 8 months up to 90 years old. So it's really lovely to be able to spend time with family, and enjoy that.
Daisy, which one was that? Which carnival did you go to?
We were in Praia de Caveiro, so in the central Algarve. It's just a little one. It's not like Lule or something like that, and it's very much the local community doing it. The floats are beautiful and the costumes are wonderful, but this is literally done by the local people of the town, and it's a small town. It's not a big place. Its population is, I think, about 2,500 people of permanent residents there. So it's not a big place. So it's nice to see, all your friends and family having fun and dancing around in the cold. It was freezing yesterday. It was freezing.
Yes, that's the thing about Carnival, isn't it? This time of year is not ideal, but and with the weather we've been having, but great to see people being able to enjoy themselves and back out partying here in Portugal after these horrible few weeks that we've put behind us. I hope. If I could take you back for a moment there, you were saying about how women treated as equals in the workplace. So that's quite a shift in the relatively short space of time you've been having a working life here. That's a significant change, is it?
I would say so. Yeah, I think when I first came here, well, then I say that, but Sheena was the boss at the resident, and she was in charge there, and that she was another person who's still very much part of the community, and another very strong woman who showed determination. But I think it was mainly you would maybe see it more in foreign-run businesses that women would be at the head, and less so in Portuguese entities and things like that.
Right.
Whereas now, I went to meet with the new mayor of Silge about a month ago. A woman, again, another woman in role and coming into it, and her team was half male, half female, and it was a really diverse group of people, different ages, different backgrounds, all that sort of thing. I think the Portuguese entities are reflecting society a little bit more now, which is great, which is exactly what it
is. So some great sort of social progress, you might say. Absolutely, but still preserving those lovely things that you like, the carnival, and where all the families there.
The family values really do remain really strong. And if you've ever met any Portuguese families, you'll probably realise that it is the matriarch who is in charge, very much.
Well said. Yes, my mind went immediately to being invited by 3 brothers to their home to meet the family. And mum's in charge. And we went to mum's house to meet the family, and she laid on an amazing spread. And very, very much sort of matriarchal scene when it comes to family life here in Portugal. Incredible. Good observation. Yeah,
so it's nice to see it reflected in jobs, in the workplace. Absolutely.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Okay, next dream job. I'm guessing, lots of people want to work in radio, don't they? And you had an association with Kiss FM. You were the newsreader there. Did you do a show as well, or were you on news?
No, I just read the news for them. They have so when I went to work for the Portugal News, they had an agreement with Kiss FM already to provide news in English, something that I'm very passionate about. Again, sharing information, sharing knowledge. And if you don't speak Portuguese, that shouldn't be a barrier to being able to understand what's going on around you. Look, I wasn't going into in-depth political ins and outs and all that sort of stuff. But I think just providing daily news about updates in laws and what things are going on and all that kind of stuff, it proved to be really popular. Carrie had done it for years before. She'd also worked for the Portugal News, and when she hung up her microphone, I stepped in to do that for a while, and it was good fun. It's really good fun. Hard work.
I mean, there's no just about it. Just reading the news. I mean, it's one of the hardest jobs, I think, in a radio station, is it? Because you've got the continuity and you've got to deliver it on time and concisely.
Yeah. The deadlines. I like a deadline, but that's a daily deadline is quite tough. So, and then it's obviously writing the news. I'd write the news for the newspaper in one way. I'd write it for online in a different way, and then I have to write it again for in a short version to be able to speak it on the radio. So hats off to Kate and Bruno who are doing it now, because it's a tricky job. It's a tricky one.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned social media. In many ways, I guess writing to a tight deadline and a short slot package, as you do on the radio, suits social media. How have you seen that, for better or worse, change how news is? Well, what news is in the first place and how it's shared with people?
I think everyone's got their own way of doing things. And different media outlets go in different ways. But from what I was working with, we believed it was really important to make sure that you put the facts out there. There's an awful lot of misinformation available. And while I say to people, it's great to get your news off social media, I would just say, just have a little bit of a look at the source of where it's coming from. And I think that official outlets like The Resident, like the Portugal News, you can trust them. They are real journalists. They abide to code. They do that sort of stuff. This isn't someone's opinion. It's the news. And if it is an opinion, it's clearly stated it's an opinion. So people aren't confused. And just to make sure, just look at where you're getting your news from.
Right, very good. Good advice there. And it must have been amazing to see, what's this thing, Facebook? And how can we use it in marketing and PR capacity, and what it's become now? I mean, what do you make of that? What do you make of the social media world, having had a really good position, to see it come from not knowing what it was to now being AI enhanced? What are your views on that?
I think that having information available to everybody for free is an incredible thing, and it's really incredible. And I think for business, it's been really, really, really key as well. And for things like, so the Algarve, people have known about the Algarve to come on holiday for decades. My grandparents came in the 60s. This has been a place that people know, but people know it as a bucket and spade sort of destination, that kind of thing. a platform like Facebook or Instagram is able to showcase so much more and reach so many other people. For example, where I live in Cafuero, there's a cave near us called Benagil Cave.
Yeah.
And we'd all known about this cave for years, and we'd been on a boat trip, had a little look at it and gone, oh yeah, that's pretty. Then it goes onto social media, and suddenly this little place has been transformed because people know about this. Now, whether you think it's a good thing or a bad thing, it probably depends on if you live on that street and you can never park, or if you've got a restaurant and you're always full. But the fact is that you don't have to go to a shop and buy a tour guide and see what someone's chosen to write about. You can find out this information everywhere. And I think that's a great thing for, Portugal as a tourist destination, but also for businesses, smaller businesses that might not have budget for traditional forms of advertising. This is a way to get your message out there to people and to find
a great way of looking at it. Yeah, excellent. Okay, on to next dream job, I'm guessing as well. I love the series of breaks that you've had, and obviously created for yourself as well with your skills and attitude. And now afpop. So you were a newspaper editor, newsreader, and you worked at the resident first job in journalism, and now you've gone to this auspicious position at afpop. Now, could you, for people, I think it's well known in the Algarve, isn't it, afpop? But
it is.
Central and northern Portugal, perhaps not so much. Can you what is the kind of elevator pitch for afpop? What's the quick description?
So afpop is an association for foreign people in Portugal. Right. We're not for profit, and we have members. So members pay an annual fee. It's €50 for one person, 65 for two. So nominal fee. And our point is to be here. Basically, if you don't speak Portuguese, but you want to get the best out of life in Portugal and you need help with something, that's what we're here for. So it ranges from, we have an incredible team of multilingual people, and this is not a British association. It's not an English association. It's an international association. And we've got German, Dutch, French, Spanish, Danish, Swedish speakers who are all sat in my office with me. They're incredible people. And they have a huge amount of knowledge. We never proclaim to be a lawyer or a tax expert, but what they do know is how the processes work in Portugal. So often you'll be sent to the Finanças tax site and told, oh, go on there and you can find out how much you need to pay for your taxes and all that sort of stuff. Well, you log in and go, oh my goodness, where do I even start with this? It's not a very welcoming site to go onto. Now, I know that the team upstairs, they know that site inside out. So they're not going to file your taxes for you, but they're going to say, look, it's really simple. Click on this menu, go down to this button here, click that, you've got what you need. And even if you put on Google Translate onto your computer, the terms just aren't really working. And it's very difficult to navigate. So a large part of what we do is helping people who have their individual problems, and then also informing people about changes in laws and things that are going to affect people in their day-to-day life, whether it's the change in the date for when your car tax is going to be due, something that's important for people to know, or whether it's changes to residency laws, which is obviously something that is a very big issue for lots of different people.
Yes.
But equally down to, I want to get married in Portugal. What piece of paper do I need? Or I've got kids and I will need to enroll them in school. It's a broad range of information and knowledge that we have and that we update people with. And we update people, either you can give us a call or an email, you can pop into our offices, or we also send out bi-weekly newsletters with the latest changes in laws, and a bi-monthly magazine, which also covers this again. And then we have all our information on our website. Again, we want to be democratic in how we share our knowledge and information. So if you're not happy going online, that's okay. We can come and meet you. We can come and see you, or we can give you a phone call or a video call, whatever's going to work best for you. And if you don't like using email, that's okay. We can post you a physical magazine. It's to try and appeal to everybody. So a large part is information. And then the other big part we have is member benefits and discounts. So we work with different businesses so that if you're an afpop member, you get discounts on things. One of the big ones is health insurance. We work with a company called Medal, who give afpop members specifically special deals. which they can tell you all about. But basically, a lot of people just join to get the membership to have the benefits for the insurance, which is incredibly competitive. But we also have lots of other businesses as well, from local restaurants to painters and decorators, construction, health and beauty. There's a huge range of businesses that we work with to try and give our members better deals. And the third and final part of our job is providing social events. So if you're new to the country or not new to the country, and you're looking to meet up with some people, whether it's for, at the moment, our guy in Porto, he's doing a trip around a soap factory. Doesn't sound exciting, but actually it's really, really interesting.
It is. Yeah, I bet it is. Yeah.
Or you might just want to go for a coffee morning, just have a coffee, that kind of thing. So we have a really broad range again, and we're trying to spread this, not just being in the Algarve, which we mainly are, but we've also got a guy in Portugal now, and we're looking at Ericeira, and we're looking at different places where we can help connect with the community and help the community to get the best out of being in Portugal with like-minded people who want to have a nice time.
Excellent. Very reassuring, I think, for people who, as you say, the number one barrier, presumably being the language, but it's kind of language and culture, isn't it? It's not knowing how things work, and you've got your team of helpers. And when I called the office, there's a German a part of the switchboard, isn't there? English, Portuguese, as you'd expect. And I was able to say, pode ser falar com Daisy. But the phone was on. I think it was answered in English as well. So people will find that very reassuring. How many different languages are spoken?
I think it's 7 or 8. I can't be 100% sure, because they do speak a lot more languages, but don't feel some of them are like, I don't feel comfortable saying I speak that language when I've heard them speak the languages, and they're absolutely wonderful. But we do definitely have French, Portuguese, English, Dutch, German, Danish. Absolutely 100% covered.
That's superb. That's a great service, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you're taking over from Michael Reeve, 23 years in the role.
23 years, unbelievable. Yes. He's an absolute legend of afpop, and he took it from being more of a informal sort of association, where it's sort of a few people have got together going, we need a bit of help with our paperwork for our houses and buying a property, and sort of professionalize the whole thing. Look, we don't want to be super serious, but obviously things that we talk about with our members are quite serious. Yeah. So when it needs to be to the point and serious, we are, but we do also want to be approachable as an association, because we're an association which is funded by our members. So we want to be here for both.
And what do you hope to bring to the role? Presumably, you've got this incredible experience of the Algarve and how to help and serve people. And I get that that's, really an important mission for you. Are there things that you can reveal at this stage that you're hoping to bring that's uniquely Daisy-like to this role?
Well, as I say, Michael has I've not walked into an association that's broken. I've walked into an association that is fantastic. The team are brilliant. What they do is brilliant. And Mike has set this up for me to just walk into, to be honest with it. But I obviously want to bring my own little spin to things. I'm looking at the fact that I would like to appeal to a slightly younger demographic who have different needs, and maybe think of afpop as being something for retired people, which it isn't. So maybe to spread the message a little bit wider, that we're not British, we're international, that we're not just here for retirees, we're here for everybody, and that we're not just in the Algarve, we are across Portugal, and we can help you no matter where you are in Portugal. We might not be able to come and see you personally, but we can always be able to help you by phone, video, email, all the rest of it. We're here to help people despite where you live in Portugal.
That's great. That's great.
It's just spreading the message a little bit further. That's all. That's what I'm really looking at doing.
Yes. Okay. I suspect we'll have part 2 and 3. I hope, Daisy, as we track your progress and the development of your role there. And thank you so much, and all the best to you in the new position. Just one final question, which I mentioned earlier on, and coming back to younger people and referring to your great career, as it turns out, and not quite as you imagined first when you were arriving out of university in Portugal. What an incredible career path you've created for yourself, and found these incredible opportunities here in Portugal. For the younger, journalistically minded, someone like yourself, when you did your politics degree, Coming into the world now, thinking about journalism, a lot's changed, isn't it? As you've told us here, with social media and how geopolitics is working and how the world's like since it's changed since the early 2000s and quite drastically, we could say. What's your advice to that young person? Almost like to yourself, if you were in this time coming out of university and wanted to change the world like you did.
I think we all want to work for the big newspaper or the big news organization, the flagship companies like the BBC, etc. That's a goal. But I would say that actually what's really super important is local, and is to focus on what you know and what you understand and the community you're part of. Because if you're able to tell their stories and the truth about what they are, then this is creating a basis not only for your future, where you can obviously then approach larger places to work for, but it's a really important part of sharing our culture, community, and information. Just because you're reporting on a local carnival in a small town doesn't mean that doesn't have worth. That's worth a lot to those 2,500 people who are sat there and have gone to that event. So I would say, look at the local. What's all around you is actually really, really interesting, and you don't have to spend a lot of money or too much time, and you can usually find someone to be interviewed, because everyone wants to be interviewed, and you can create some really great stories that way. And then
That's great advice. Be local. And I guess human scale. I was going to say small, but I don't mean small in a bad way. I mean just like real, authentic, local reporting. There's such a place for that, isn't there? Yeah,
there's a huge space for that. Because the larger organisations have to look at the big picture, and that means that and they're cutting back on resources. So this is where we can come in as a junior journalist. You can come in and give something that they can't do. They can't do that. So use your knowledge and use your local base to be able to expand your career. Absolutely.
And be proud of your locality. Fantastic. Excellent stuff. Daisy, thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed for the Resident Podcast. All the best to you in the new role. And lots of love to all in the Algarve. It looks like you've got some sunshine there this morning.
Don't speak too quickly.
Okay, all right. Sorry I mentioned it. All right. Thank you so much. Muito obrigado. Até a próxima.
Obrigado.